Hello and welcome to the Tarot with Titania reading of the week for July 16th to the 23rd. I'm hoping you are all loving this beautiful summertime that we're in the midst of, the season of the heart. I invite you to close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths with me, pulling yourself into the present moment, dropping into your body and your heart. And just seeing a tree root coming out of the base of your spine, grounding you deep into Mother Earth, pulling you into the present now, knowing that that tree root not only anchors you here, but becomes a conduit through which anything that you no longer need can easily and effortlessly pass down into Mother Earth to become compost for your new growth. Creator, this is your daughter Titania, and I am here to do a reading for our highest and greatest collective good. My intention is to be a clear channel for the information that we most need to receive right now, and to provide that in a manner that will be easily and effortlessly heard, understood, and integrated for our individual highest and greatest good and our collective highest and greatest good. I call upon my higher self and the higher selves of all those listening now and in the future to ensure that this reading goes according to what is in our collective heart and mind, and that it is deeply supportive of our collective intention for greater good. I'd like to ask an overlighting angel of communication to be here and facilitate this exchange and just make sure it happens in a good way in the window of time that we have together. I want to invite the 4 archangels to come and hold the 4 directions around us, creating a beautiful sacred container of light and love, clarity, wisdom, transformation, healing, empowerment, whatever it is that is in our collective heart and mind at this time. I invite it in now. I invite Raphael to hold the east, Michael to hold the south, Gabriel to hold the west, and Uriel to hold the north. Thank you for coming. Anything that doesn't match these intentions and frequencies of love and light is welcome to go now. All right. What is it that we collectively need to know this week for our highest and greatest good? The highest and greatest good of anyone whose life we touch and this beautiful planet we call home. Okay. Recent past, the influence is waning, continues into our present, into our future. We have the Princess of Swords. This is new beginnings on the level of ideas in action. The princess here has received a letter which she's reading very, very eagerly. There's this butterfly which represents transformation, new beginnings. Think about that. Again, this idea of butterflies and caterpillars and how different an experience that must be to go from being a caterpillar to a butterfly and having that other dimension to travel in. And then all these orbs of light surrounding her. It's like this fresh new start, these kernels of possibility of new inspiration and light. So this is sitting in the recent past. It's sort of this new openings on the level of our mind, our ideas and our actions. This opening of our thoughts is a wonderful new beginning. We have to kind of open our awareness and our willingness to see and to see clearly and well. And this is what this card is indicating in the position here. We have the Prince of Hearts in the present. This card always makes me smile because we have this, guy on his horse, and he's not charging around. In other decks, this card in the series is called the Knight, and so I laugh because in my card they're called princes and princesses. There's pages and knights in other decks, but this guy is riding around, shaking his giant heart at everybody. Hey, love me. And as I said, it just always makes me laugh to see this. But the meaning of this, it's sort of this idea of changes on the level of the heart, changes on the collective level, because of course this is our reading for our collective intention and understanding about where we're at. So this is changes on the level of the heart, willingness to be more open, more understanding, to see things in a more compassionate and kind way, and more playful. I mean, this guy certainly is a playful knight. I mean, he's not, as I said, he's not charging around with lances and swords and trying to hack people to bits. He's trying to get people to like him. So there's this energy in the present about changes on the heart level, changes on our emotional level, changes on our, our willingness. These new thoughts, these new ways of seeing things is changing how we're choosing to be in our bodies, in ourselves, in our communities. And this is a very positive thing. We have to have the awareness before we can change the rest of it. The near future. I cannot tell you how often this card has been surfacing lately in readings. It's fascinating. And of course, romance can mean with a partner, but in the context here, and it seems lately that it's mostly the context is more of our relationship with life. How are we relating to life? What is our romance with life like? How are we interacting? Are we allowing ourselves to be surprised and delighted and appreciative of all the good that's in our field, all of that wonderful experience that we get to call our own, that life brings to us based on our energetic set point? And we've talked about that before. Our frequency, how we are being in our body, what we're giving our attention and our energy to, creates the field that becomes our point of attraction to the rest of the universe. And our dance with life is just that. We can change how we're being in our state and our field, and as a result, our relatedness to everything else changes. It's a very subtle and beautiful thing, and it is absolutely amazing how when we change our own perspective or how we're being in the world, everything else shifts as well. It doesn't mean that circumstances necessarily change, but our perspective on it changes. And other people seem to shift and they become different people and respond in different ways. And it's so surprising, but it's so profound. It indicates the interconnectedness of all of us and how deep this is. When we change ourselves and we change our set point, our whole relationship to life shifts, and we can cultivate this. We can be intentional about this, just like we can in any of our relationships, especially our prime romantic partnerships. It's very much about us choosing to see the good in our partner, choosing to affirm what is highest and best. And I'm not talking about allowing yourself to continue to be abused. Please don't misunderstand me there. I mean, there's sometimes when you just know it's not an appropriate relationship for you to be in. But just in general, if you're in a healthy relationship or a balanced relationship or a relationship that you're choosing to be in and it's an honoring one, we can cultivate the good in that relationship by, once again, choosing to see the good, honoring the good, acknowledging the good, and allowing ourselves to be surprised and delighted and inspired. And there's a word missing here. I'm sure it exists, but this idea of just being brought to more joy and happiness as a result of our relatedness to that individual. And again, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner, but all relationships thrive better when we intentionally cultivate them, including our relationship with the universe. So we have new ideas, new beginnings on the idea level, new awarenesses, new possibility spaces. And this moves us into a new way of being in our heart, a more playful way of relating to each other. And this, again, is leading us into a more fulfilling and deeper relationship with life, with our dance with life and our experience here on the planet. The foundation card for this week is disappointment, the 5 of Hearts. Now, if you're in a situation where you're finding yourself not being in a good place or things are not going the way you'd like them to, this card is kind of an interesting one from the perspective you see. This suitor has made his offer, and the young woman has decided she cannot accept it. Much as she might regard him and care for this individual, it is not in alignment with what she knows to be true in her heart. And so she has to disappoint him in order to move forward into her life and her experience. And so you see 3 of the hearts are broken, but 2 are whole, because she does love herself and honor herself, and she's choosing to move her life forward despite any disappointment that she may be causing, and that she has to cause because she needs to move forward in her own life. And understanding that this disappointment that we might be causing in another's experience, it's always upsetting to think that we might distress another, but we can't ignore our own knowingness. We can't ignore our truth. We can't ignore what we know in our hearts to be where we're at and authentic and true. And so sometimes we have to disappoint others so that we can continue to move forward towards what our heart is calling us to, what we know to be true in our hearts. And there's too much, I think, in our culture, this idea of self-sacrifice, and that can be so destructive to the self and to relationships, because of course when we sacrifice ourselves, we slide into resentment, and we slide into just a less loving, kind state. We may even start to blame the other person for the decision to disappoint ourselves and stay in a dynamic that doesn't serve us. So there's something here for us collectively about this energy of disappointment, and how do we, it's the foundation card, as I said, for this week. And the foundation card is why we're having this reading. It's this energy of disappointment. It's learning to understand that we are all agents in each other's lives, moving each other forward. And sometimes we're the agent of disappointment in another's experience. We have to say no. We have to set a boundary. We have to turn someone else down in a manner that may be hopefully always kind, but in a way that may be disappointing to the other. But just understand that from the bigger perspective, that disappointment is a source of contrast in their experience, which is helping them to refine what it is that they want. It's helping them to get clearer about what it is that they're looking for. Just as in this situation, this man making his offer to this woman and her saying no, he's a lot clearer about what he wants as a result of her, who she is and what she is, and her saying no. He's like, well, okay, I want somebody who will say yes. And so there will be a different point of attraction in his experience if he turns and goes with the wisdom that he's gained from this interaction. So again, understanding that we can't please everybody. We're not here to be pleasers to everybody. That is not our role. There's a lot of that conditioning in our culture, but that is not our role. Our role is to be an incredibly dynamic, engaged, co-creative energy in our own life experience, and take our life in the direction that our heart is calling us towards. And that may not always be pleasing to those around us, but that's okay. We're all here having our own journeys, and we can't hold ourselves back if it means that we're diminishing our light and our life. So some things to think about in this reading this week. So we have new, fresh ideas that are inspiring us to new ideas and action, just an opening on the level of that. We have changes in the level of our heart as a result of those ideas, and changes in our ways of being, this sort of let's have fun. It's very playful energy, as I said. He's there waving his heart around. It's like, okay, let's engage, let's have fun, let's connect. This romance with life, this romance in our near future, this understanding that we are an intentional co-creative part of our dance with life. We're not just passive observers sitting on the bus watching life go by. No, we're driving the bus. We get to decide how we're being in our relationships with each other, with this planet, and with the universe, with our divine, higher, wiser self. It's a very important thing to understand, because that makes all the difference in how fulfilling your experience is. If you're sitting around waiting for somebody to make you happy and fulfill you, that's not going to happen. You have to move out into life looking to be surprised, delighted, looking to enjoy yourself, seeking to be pleased. It's a completely different energy set. And it'll serve you very well if you can move into that energy instead of waiting for something to please you and looking around with eyes that don't see anything that except to criticize. That kind of energy set point, being critical and judgmental, really, really, really tones the life force energy down and reduces our vibration considerably, so that there's less of the good stuff coming through. So look for the good. Let yourself look to be surprised and delighted. Think about how you want to feel in a romantic relationship, and then think about how that could apply to your dynamic with life. How could you be more engaged on that kind of level with life, appreciating all the good in your life? That's why gratitude is so important. It really shifts your energy point and puts you in a place of receptivity and enjoyment and lightness. And the universe loves to give us more of what we're giving our attention to. So, and then here, this idea of disappointment and how we may have to disappoint others to move in the direction of our highest and greatest good. And we have to trust that we're an agent of life in the experiences of others. And that our being a source of disappointment to them is actually a source of their greater clarity and their greater self-awareness and their greater understanding of what it is that they're looking for, which is helping them to refine their own dance with the universe, their own romance with life. So don't feel like you have to please everybody, and see if you can get out of that people-pleasing thing where so many of us are stuck in. And it'll make a huge difference. And again, always from kindness, always from love, always from that place of for the highest and greatest good. But it starts with us tuning into ourselves and knowing who we are and what we want and flowing with that. And it may mean, as I said, disappointing others, and that's okay. If you don't honor that call, you're diminishing your flow with life. You're diminishing your experience. And that's not what you're here to do. You're not here to diminish yourself. You're here to go with the flow of life and experience all the beauty and abundance that's there for you. Okay. I think that's pretty clear. That's the energy, the tone that we have for this week. How about we step into the summary card, the card to grow on for this week. To see if there's something else that the cards want us to know, that the collective wisdom wants us to know, that we want to become aware of in our own field and experience, so that we can be better, more efficient, more effective beings of light on this planet, having a happy experience and moving our lives forward in good ways. Okay, so our card to grow on this week. What is it that will serve us best to know this week for our highest and greatest good collectively, personally? And we have all these cards jumping out. I don't pick those cards. Some people like to. I prefer to be more intentional about it, to actually draw the card. And if I like to note which ones fall out. And if it's the same one, then it's kind of fun to see that. But I, again, prefer to be very intentional when I'm at the point of actually choosing the card rather than just randomly taking what falls out. Okay, so this is our card to grow on this week. What do we need to know for our collective highest and greatest good? And we have the card of victory. It's this lovely energy. Wands are about creativity, inspiration, and passion. And we have this person rather jubilantly jumping over fire, jumping over adversity, jumping over challenge. And there's this, as I said, it's sort of a jubilant energy to this card, this persevering, this making things work in a good way. So our card to grow on this week is this energy of victory, this energy of persevering, listening to your heart. It starts by dropping into your heart, listening to your heart, and then persevering based on what you know, what's going on in your heart, what your heart is calling you towards. And if you don't know what that is, start small. Start with the small preferences. That's the best way to start to build up your knowingness of who you are. It's like you're building a muscle. You're developing your understanding of your interests, your passions, your who you are at the bottom of you. And again, our conditioning, our domestication in our culture leads us to diminish our self-awareness and to diminish our knowingness of who we are and to reduce our life force. And that's not what we're here to do or how to be. We don't have to dot I's and cross T's the way the outside world is telling us to. We're here to live from the inside out. We're here to be jubilant humans having wonderful, satisfying, fulfilling experiences. We're all unique. We're all going to do that in different ways. So there's no worry about that piece. We're all here to enjoy and have an amazing experience in different ways. So this card to grow on this week is to focus on the good, to focus on your heart, and to keep moving in the direction of your yeses. Keep moving in the direction of your preferences. Keep moving in the direction of what your heart and your life is calling you towards. And do it with enjoyment. Do it with satisfaction. Do it with pleasure. Do it with jubilance. Really bask in the fact that you are this amazing co-creator with life. And when things are going your way, when you've got the flow, when you've tapped into that and things are going in that good direction, let yourself be there. Let yourself Match that frequency. Give yourselves an opportunity to really understand what that frequency is all about so that you can more readily match that in the future. It's all about reprogramming ourselves. We've been programmed one way. We can program ourselves another way. So go with that. Let yourself have this feeling of jubilance, of happiness, of well-being, of goodness, of satisfaction, of pleasure. It's all serving your highest and greatest good. And as I said, if you don't have that big picture, start small. Is it chocolate or vanilla? What is your preference in this moment? If you like both, have both. But that understanding that this is a muscle, an awareness, a way of being we need to cultivate and develop in order to have this thriving, victorious experience in our lives. So, with that, Creator, I want to thank you for this opportunity to be of service doing these readings every week. I ask that you take care of each and every person listening on this call. Help them to clarify what their heart is calling them towards. Help them to find their preferences, their deepest heart satisfaction, and to gently move their life in the direction of more of that, whatever that may be. And again, help us to distinguish that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing situation, that we can start small and slowly and gently build our understanding. All of us are on this amazing journey, and I ask for help as we travel on this amazing co-creative path with you, making this experience more of what we want it to be, understanding that we are an important and involved part of our lives, and we get to take our life in the direction that we most want it to go in, even if we don't know what that means right yet. Right? Relaxing and understanding that that information is coming, and that it starts with us understanding and building that with our awareness on what we prefer, what we're curious about, what we're interested in, and continuing to follow that. I want to thank all those who helped to hold the space today. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Please consider liking and sharing if this work has been supportive and meaningful to you. I would love for it to reach as many people as possible for the highest and greatest good of all of us on this planet, that we could collectively move forward together in good ways and help each other to be brighter and shinier. Much love to you all. I wish you a beautiful week. Enjoy the sun. Take care.